You want to get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky! What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim.
Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. It's me, your host, Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for listening. It is October 15th, 2020. Bom, bom, bom. What does that mean? It means we're 5 months into the COVID-19 lockdown. It means we are at the 100 anniversary year. It's the 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage, everybody. Come on. Let's give it up for the ladies. Yeah, let's give it up for the ladies, everybody. Too bad we got to be celebrating such a momentous occasion under lock and key, under lockdown, being locked down. Come on, what's that all about? It's like we're trying to keep women in the kitchen, huh? Keep them in the house. That's what we're doing. There was a movement to set women free, to give them political equality and independence, and instead here we are locking them away in their homes. We might as well be telling them to go back into the kitchen. Go back into the kitchen and make sandwiches out of PPE or something. I don't know what it's all about. How do I know? I'm just a guy, like, why? Stay in your lane. I don't have anything to say about suffrage. I would have been allowed to vote back in 1919, even though, I don't know. You think they would have let an Asian guy vote? I mean, maybe if I was a citizen somehow. There were citizens of this fine nation that were of Asian descent back then, because that was still, I think, was that before the Chinese Exclusion Act? I think the Chinese Exclusion Act came a little bit later. I don't really know. I know that there were Chinese here building railroads and stuff, right? So that's a thing. I know that there were Koreans here at the turn of the century, right? Before there was ban. So they must have been here. There must have been citizens. And if they were men, they were allowed to vote because men were seen as logical, rational creatures, right? And women just could not be trusted. They just could not be trusted with, they weren't even allowed to read. Are you kidding? What, are they going to vote for president? What are you out of your mind? I imagine was what some of the back and forth was about the debate. Looking back now, I'm just like, what was the debate? Like, why not let them vote? It's not I don't know, let them fucking vote. But then I started researching this, and it's very interesting because the main proponents of women's suffrage, yes, there's Susan B. Anthony, who President Trump just pardoned, huh? Come on, credit where credit's due, everybody. Susan B. pardoned, everybody. Yeah, Susan got she's out. She's dead, but her ghost can now roam free. The ghost of Susan B. Anthony, who is forever trapped in a metaphysical jail because her corporeal self was still considered a criminal, is now free. You know what I mean? She's now free to do whatever. Before she could still vote in the cage, I'm sure. I wonder if do the dead get to vote? Do they get to vote on the live elections, or do they get to vote on dead elections? Like, are they running FDR over and over? Is FDR on his 100th presidency? Wait, does that even work? No, that doesn't work. That would be 400 years. Well, anyways, what do I know? I'm going to talk about history. Okay. Well, anyways, apparently the biggest opponents of suffrage was actually women also. So you got women on the proponent side and women on the opponent side. Isn't that just like women, huh? Isn't that just like them? They can't even agree. And if they want freedom or not. Yeah, you dumb, dizzy broads. All right. That's probably what was being said back then. I'm only trying to get across, these are not my beliefs when I call women dumb broads or dizzy bitches or, chicken head gold diggers. When I use terms like that, when I throw those terms around, I'm not, I don't hate women. I'm not denigrating them. I'm just merely trying to be accurate to the time period. There were different cultural norms back then, and so I'm just trying to be authentic to that. So anyways, did you know that the opponents to these dumb broads trying to get votes were other fucking dizzy clams blocking the vote? Because back then, voting wasn't just a right that you got. Back then, voting came with a list of responsibilities as well. Like you had to actually serve, involuntary firefighter. As a firefighter, you had to serve possibly if you're drafted, and this is post World War I, so that was a big possibility. You know, a giant world war where you're drafting all the women. You know, all that stuff is a possibility. And basically the women on the anti-19th Amendment side, they did not want the extra responsibilities that were going to be put upon them as voting citizens. They were like, we prefer, you know, where we were at, and that's fine. We don't need to change things, right? And maybe some of them thought, like, this is really just a scam to try to fucking get us to work, you know? Like, we figured it out. We've hacked the matrix. We don't need to work. And now you're saying we need to work? That's fucking bullshit. And see, you know, you could see how the other side would be like, these are lazy women. These women are lazy, you know? Like, that's probably what... I can only imagine the debate, you know, because you have... I mean, first of all, the entire country torn asunder by women, right? Just fucking seeking... the right to vote, fighting amongst themselves. And then, of course, you got your men on one side being like, yo, of course, honey, of course you should vote. And then the men on the other side are like, of course, honey, of course it's ridiculous to make you work like that. You know? So you got these men just like, okay, we'll just whatever, okay. And of course, it was passed. 19th Amendment was passed, and what has followed is a century of death and destruction, okay? After 1919, the 19th Amendment was passed. What did you have? Yes, you had the Roaring 20s for a bit, but then you had the stock market crash, right? You had prohibition going on. You had the rise of Nazi Germany, right? World War II, the Holocaust, the atomic bomb, you know, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. It's untold millions and millions dead, right? That's what's followed in the wake of suffrage. Coincidence? Who knows? I mean, yes, literally it is a coincidence, but causality? Unknown. You know, but I thought it was really interesting, and I've talked about this before, you know, when right after I saw the Ken Burns documentary on Prohibition, which is a fascinating, it's like 3 episodes, totally worth the watch. The entire history of Prohibition is essentially a cycle of women's rights. So 19 is women's suffrage, right? 18 was when this voting bloc first came to light and was able to pass a constitutional amendment, you know, the 18th one, which is the prohibition of alcohol, which, if you really think about it, is absolutely fucking bonkers. Like, no other country in the history of the world has ever decided, let's ban alcohol. Nobody's done it, except for Muslims, except for like super religious people. That's it. Just Muslims and women. Okay, this is the company we find ourselves in. All right, I thought they didn't like each other. I thought Muslims were. I didn't know they saw eye to eye on so much. Okay, but apparently, when it comes to the booze and not having it, it was the women sold the men of this country, and in fact, they sold the whole country to vote enough to pass a constitutional amendment, an entire constitutional amendment, to stop the sale and consumption of alcohol. Right. Think about weed. You know, there's no constitutional amendment to pass weed. Back in those days, you had to fucking change the Constitution to do something like this. And guess who did it? Women, right? It was women behind it all. A big part, what I learned in the documentary, a big part of that was because there were no laws protecting women from their husbands beating them. And a lot of times their husbands would just get really, really drunk and beat the shit out of them. So women, you know, after advocating for women's rights over and over, trying to get some laws on the books about domestic violence, they were finally like, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to just get rid of booze. And they were able to make it happen. For some reason, they couldn't get people behind stop beating women, but they got behind stop drinking booze. I don't know. You know why? Because I think it's like extreme. It's an extremist thing. It is just like the Muslims. It's a very extremist view on how to change society. Just take away what you would consider an ill and everything would be fixed. And instead, what happened? There was even more ills. We got organized crime. People were fucking drinking bathtub gin, you know? Like fucking how many young people were lost just trying to have fun, trying to drink something and just going blind from drinking turpentine. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the consequence of those good intentions. And that is what they say about hell, right? The road to hell, what's it paved with? Good intentions. Women, no. What the road to hell is paved with women's rights. Okay. So they passed the 18th Amendment. They got a voting bloc together to pass constitutional amendment, which you need two-thirds of the majority of every state, or I think 2/3 of the entire country's state legislatures have to vote in favor to ratify it, and they did. And then they went on to do 19, which was women's suffrage. Boom. Then they did 20, which was moving the term of office of vice president and Congress and president, like all the people who get elected, to January instead of March, because there's this long-ass lame duck session. So women, the voting bloc got together and changed that too. And then finally, after about almost 20 years, they decided we got to repeal prohibition. So that was 21. And guess who was behind the repeal of prohibition? Another group of women. Okay? There's a counter group of women. It was like younger, hotter women who like to party. That came out of the 20s. You know what I mean? It was like you got your frumpy ladies who just get the shit just mercilessly beat out of. They were just beat. These women were beat to the inch of their lives. They had laws back then about the thickness of sticks, you know? These women are just fucking mercilessly beaten until they finally changed the goddamn country. They got rid of alcohol. You're like, oh yeah, beat us, will you? Fucking, you know, that's where Carrie Nation, you know, you had these like kind of dog-faced, really just like brick house. They look like they could fucking squat, you know, 200 pounds or something. You know, these women, she's carrying a hatchet going around, just tearing shit up. Just fucking, I mean, this is an extremist. This is a terrorist. This is essentially a woman. Women were radicalized into terrorism because men treated them so shittily. They were beating the shit out. They beat them so bad, they fucking radicalized them, turned them into Muslims, and they came and they fucking it just laid havoc on the entire country. They took away the booze. They got themselves a vote. They rearranged the dates, okay? And then by this time, it's almost 20 years, almost a whole generation later, okay? You got young, hot, up-and-coming women who weren't treated, frankly, as bad as the generation before them. And the generation they grew up under, you know, there was plenty of booze. It was not like there was any shortage of booze. In fact, there was plenty of booze. Booze everywhere. People were just, and it was kind of like a lot of partying, fucking, and if anything, what the women were pointing out who were against prohibition, the women who were for the 21st Amendment, what they were pointing out is just hypocrisy. We live in a hypocritical society now where a cop will arrest you for having a drink and then you see him at the speakeasy that night. You know what I'm saying? It's where everybody knows that the law is bullshit. And that's basically what happened when we created prohibition, is the law now, because it tried to regulate morality, people just felt like the law was illegitimate. And it was just like that they were a bunch of hypocrites. They were on the take, you know? All these guys, all these cops during Prohibition, they were fucking paying off mobsters and, you know, or being paid by mobsters. You know, it's a whole racket. The same thing happens with drugs, right? That just moved on to drugs, marijuana, cocaine, all that stuff. It's just all dirty cops. Dirty cops and drug dealers are all the same, okay? The money just circulates around there and it's a lot of fucking money, right? So that's what happened. Those good intentions, right? So you got your party girls coming up. Your party girls who are just like, come on, man, let's not fucking be assholes. Let's fucking just be real, right? And then they came out and convinced everybody to repeal the 18th Amendment. Thank God. Thank God. Let's give it up for the ladies, huh? They could. I mean, without women being able to vote, they probably couldn't have voted for the 21st Amendment. So not like they had to directly vote for it, but you know what I mean. They had to fucking, you know, they got activated, demonstrated, fucking wrote their senators, they fucking helped put people in the state legislatures and force the state legislatures, you know, or told them that you fucking vote for this thing. You fucking vote. The party girls say vote for Amendment 21 or no one's getting any pussy, okay? No one's getting any pussy. And that's the thing. See, back in the day when the sort of rough and tumble ladies of the older generation who were beaten within an inch of their lives, they weren't really giving it up. You know, they wore those long ass dresses. You saw what they wore back then. You know what I mean? It was like it's a goddamn straitjacket or something. It was like a goddamn, you know, layers and layers. Like, it was like, how long would it take? By the time she took off her clothes, your boner's gone, you know? You're like not even hard anymore. You're cold now. You're going to bed. I'm going to bed. And this was before women shaved, before a lot of stuff, okay? It's a different time. The 21st Amendment girls were hot, post-flappers, you know what I'm saying? Like, they fucking post-shaving, they all smoked, you know? And if she smokes, she pokes, you know what I'm saying? The fucking Charleston probably fucked a black guy, you know what I mean? It was just the time, it was an adventurous time. The time of, you know, these were fun women, you know what I mean? These women knew have a good time. And they fucking also knew that, like, dude, we can't make everybody miserable. And not only are people like, seriously, only the losers are actually not drinking. The people who listen to these women, right? The fucking guys with no spines, like everybody else is just out having fun secretly. That's what they're doing, is having secret fun, because these busybody women are going around being like, who's drinking and who's drinking? You know, they're going around, you know, because you can only imagine after the women, that generation of women who put in prohibition, again, you know, they were victorious and they got the right to vote. They're probably fucking walking on cloud nine. You know what I mean? They're probably walking around like they're fucking kings of the world, and they're probably going around reporting everybody who didn't, you know, wasn't abiding by prohibition. Everybody who's drinking, they'd report them. You know, and they're probably the ones who convinced the cops to, but let's put him in jail. Let's do it. Let's put him in jail. Let's get him in there. Kind of like today, right? Kind of like today with the mask shaming. Kind of like today with, I mean, it's politicized, yeah. Like the Democrats are the ones who would definitely put you in jail for not wearing a mask outside. Definitely have a public mask mandate. You know, it definitely believes that the state is the one who should come in and handle things like public health, handle things like, you know, morality, racism, right? Who's thinking the right thoughts, things like that. They believe the state should handle that, at least their side of the state, because they believe their side of the state is good. And then, of course, the other side of the state, the Republicans, they're a bunch of racists and retards, so, you know, we don't listen to them. But when we're in power, you listen to us, and we everything we do is right and good, so you don't even have to worry about it, okay? And it's very similar to the prohibition thing, because there is the conceit of morality, right? There's this idea that they're good. It's like, we're better than you. We stay sober. We teetotal. And if you drink, we're going to report you because you bring illness to the society. It's a sickness that's spreading, right? And you're supposed to do your part to mitigate it. Just like now with coronavirus, it's a sickness that's spreading, and you got to do your part to mitigate it by wearing a mask, by doing this, by bending a knee for George Floyd, by doing that, by doing the hokey pokey and turning yourself around. Okay, that's what it's all about. You understand? That's what it's all about. They want to make you do the hokey pokey. This is what this whole century of suffrage, women's rights, all of it is all about, making the entire world do the hokey pokey. Okay, that's what it's all about. So here we are, 100 years later, 100 years of suffrage. Congratulations, ladies. I think, I think it's a lot. I mean, a lot got fucking done, since 1920. I already kind of gave you the broad strokes, right? You got the rise of Nazis and World War II. I mean, fascism, global fascism, communism, millions upon millions of deaths, okay? I'm not saying this is women's fault. I'm not saying it's just as I'm not saying it was Eve. It's all because of Eve. All of human history. It's a common thing you could say. It's her fault, Eve's fault. She bit the apple and gave it to Adam. I mean, there's a very good chance that the dudes are the ones, who rewrote the Bible because Adam was the one who bit it and gave it to Eve. It's very possible. It's very possible. We don't know. This could be fake news. We have no idea. Okay. All we do know is that it's now 2020. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of a lockdown. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Convention is happening right now. I don't even know where it is. I didn't even know it was going on until I saw that. Like, it was like Michelle Obama was speaking, and I was like, ooh, all these people are speaking, and I was just like, Ava Longoria is like the host. I think it's on the internet. I mean, I think it's a Zoom show. The Democratic National Convention is basically a Zoom show. Okay, so then I got curious. I looked up the Republican National Convention, and it turned out they're going to do. They first tried to do it like I think it was like North Carolina. Then they tried to do it in Florida, and now they're doing it in Charlottesville, or no, not Charlottes. That'd be awesome if you did it in Charlottesville. That'd be. Why would you do it there? Well, I just thought it was a cheap place. The place was cheap. No, Charlotte, South Carolina. And then he's going on tour, and then TBD. It said it's like. So the DNC is like a Zoom show, and the RNC is like a club show, right? It's like where club shows are now. They're all in the red states. So it's like you still, get to do it in public, but they may lean a certain way, you know what I'm saying? There may be certain jokes that hit harder. You might be able to get away with that hard R, you know what I'm saying? I have a bit about the hard R. It's just my name backwards. It's, anyways. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know, and you know what I think, right? This whole thing, pandemic, lockdown. Look, I believe the pandemic's real in terms of, is there a disease? Okay, sure. I don't know, but fuck it. Let's say yeah, there's a disease. What I think is perhaps, see, and it's not really, I wouldn't say it's like a conspiracy. Okay, I don't think there's a need for conspiracies. Honestly, I don't think conspiracies are necessary because everything is just done in the open. You know, there's no need for. I mean, we have 7 fucking wars going on, and neither party. We have 2 parties, 7 war. Neither party is anti-war. You know what I'm saying? That's how the numbers work out. So then something must be up, right? What? There's no. We have this major. We are causing so much death and destruction around the world, yet in our own country, we are hemming and hawing about the deaths from a virus, from a disease. That okay, fine, it's novel, but diseases occur naturally. Wars don't. Wars are conducted through policy. Wars are conducted through tax money, our tax money. You know what I'm saying? Wars are conducted through human endeavors that continue because the people in charge say they need to continue, and the people who pay for it, us, the tax base, aren't informed enough or care enough to say, hey, we got to stop that. But we are informed, and we do care about coronavirus counts, right? Coronavirus cases, right? Everything's climbing. You know, it's the fear. We are not held in any. Imagine the fear you would feel being in one of the 7 countries we bomb. Okay, now that's fear. That's real fear. We are in no danger of that, yet we're afraid. You know, we're afraid of this virus. We're afraid of shooters. Remember how we were afraid of it was like shootings for a while. Then we were afraid of, you know, ISIS, the cars, and then now it's the disease, right? And then you got your possible race war coming, you know, like police violence, protester violence. You got your Portland and your Chaz and your Chops and all that stuff, you know, and people are just seeing all this, and all it does is foment disarray, foment division, make fear, and really all it does is divide us into camps, make it easy to market us. Fear sells. Fear also creates buying. We're going to buy, we're going to sell, we're going to do all this. It's all driven by fear. Everybody's making money. Yeah. And then meanwhile, while that's going on, everybody's distracted by that. We got a whole military-industrial complex going on that makes shitloads of money murdering people around the world using our money. But we don't care. What do we care about? 160 people have died so far from coronavirus, we say. Which, okay, that's a big number, and that's bad. You know how many people died from not from smoking cigarettes? 500,000. Hey, isn't that a whataboutism? Yeah, it is a whataboutism. Whataboutism it. Okay? I'm just saying, if you care about deaths, if deaths is really a metric of concern, why don't we care about greater deaths? Why don't we care about deaths we inflict? If deaths that are preventable are so bad, why do 50,000 people a year die from having no health care? I mean, that's preventable. How many of the people who died from coronavirus died because they didn't have health care? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that might have saved them. Those numbers could be down by like a third if they had healthcare. Maybe. We don't know. We don't care. See? That's the thing. So it's like we care about this because these numbers are put in our face or jammed in our face and this and that. They're like, this is happening. You know, and like, when you really think about it, do we just relinquish all of our freedoms now? Do we just relinquish everything? We just relinquish the economy, relinquish our way of life just because we're told that there's a threat? Because this threat, yeah, right now it's a disease, but it could be something else. I mean, the threat could one day be thoughts. I mean, it's very, you know, that's, I think, what the hubbub about cancel culture is. Like, I'm with a lot of people in that I do tire of the... There's a lot of talk about it, cancel culture. It's this, that. You know, Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. That, you know, what is it? Is it good? Is it bad? You know, it's it. And, you know, a lot of people harken it back to the communist uprisings, right? Like what happens in communist purges or whatever, any authoritarian sort of takeovers, post-suffrage, any takeovers like that. You know, I think that's the thing about cancel culture is that it's endemic of a certain type of behavior pattern that could get bigger and sort of sweep the nation like a hysteria, like prohibition, like the idea that we got to get booze out of here. Or like suffrage, right? Everybody's hypnotized in this mass delusion that women should vote. Are you kidding? What do you... What the fuck? Did you just see what they did with the booze? You're going to let them vote? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, I don't know. Is this a Republican show now? Am I a Republican? Am I a woman hater? Woman hater Rojan Kim announces that women have destroyed this nation. Women as okay. I actually agree with that. Now, see, the thing is here is that, like, I love women. Like, I love women. Okay, I love women. No, I'm not talking about women like females, human beings. I'm talking about women as a construct, the idea, the voting block, the identity block. You know, women, I'm with her, that sort of identity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with her with the Hillary campaign. I'm with her assumed that, you know, there's a lot of assumptions being there, sort of this tribalism of women, like women are together. Remember when Tina Fey was like, woman is the new black, bitch, right? Because they're all saying like, we're rising up together, but it's really a bunch of white ladies, you know. So that's the thing. Real white lady energy. That's what it is. White lady energy weaponized, right? And turned into an identity so that you don't have to be a white woman anymore to be imbued with white lady energy, right? They call it Karens, you know, they call them Beckys, whatever, but it's consistent throughout time. It's that white lady energy. And now white lady energy is available to everyone. That's sort of what's happened. And maybe that is the gift of suffrage. You know, maybe we thank Susan B. Anthony, and I don't fucking know any of these other broads' names. Maybe I don't think I've said this is the episode I've said broads, bitches, clams, day. I've used pejoratives for women more than anything. I respect women. Okay, I just don't like women as an idea. I like individual women, but I don't like women, this idea of a monolithic group. I just don't like monolithic groups, okay? I just don't, am I so libertarian? Is that what it is? Am I a libertarian now? Am I some kind of racist libertarian, or am I some kind of ultra liberal? What am I? What are you? What are you? That's what people ask me politically. What are you? Are you blue? Are you red? Will you kneel? Will you stand? You know, will you wear a mask? Or will you wear the flag, brother? You know, that's what I'm constantly being asked by people on the street, and it just depends on whether I'm wearing my bright orange hunting hat or my flat-brimmed fitted hat. You know, how I'm feeling that given day and time. You know, am I listening to Sturgill Simpson or am I listening to Lil Wayne on Spotify? That's really the question. Okay. I just don't fucking truck with any of that. You know, I mean, listen, who am I? I'm a 42-year-old Korean American, okay, who's only here because America decided to play a proxy war with Russia and China during the Korean War, and because of the Cold War and the nuclear arms race and all of that stuff, right? All that stuff led to a certain group of geopolitical things that turned Korea the way it did. That basically made Korea an ally, right, versus North Korea, and then that allowed men of South Korea to be easily brought into the U.S. Army, including my dad, which meant that was a path to citizenship, right? And that's how he came over here. So all of this being me, is brought to you by the military-industrial complex, okay? It's brought to you by communism. It's brought to you by World War II, by Hiroshima, Nagasaki, by the Nazis. It's brought to you by the Great Depression, right? It's brought to you by the stock market crash. It's brought to you by the Roaring '20s and back to prohibition and suffrage, right? And there we are, back again. So I'm a product of all of this. I'm a product of suffrage, right? I'm all of this ability for all of us to be imbued with white woman spirit, right? That's all part of the gift of suffrage. Grown men, right? Grown men who are not gay, okay, or trans, you know, basically cis hetero men, whatever the fuck that is, just men, right? They are texting each other to take walks, to talk about their feelings. You know what I mean? They're acting, grown men are acting like they're your girlfriends, you know? It's like, like you have to listen to them, you have to listen to like the things they were thinking about that thing you did, and you're like, wait, we're not even fucking, like you're not even gay, like there's not even, like if you were gay there would be the possibility, there's not even the possibility. It's like, why are we doing this? We just doing this just cause you're empowered, you're empowered straight hetero male, like what is this, right? Guys with feelings. And I know that I'm a sensitive motherfucker. I am. I cry. I'm not like I'm not tough. I'm not like some tough guy or anything like that. But I do have a disdain toward, I guess you'd call it weak men. Would it be weak? Is that what it's, would it weak like woman? You are weak like woman. I don't like you. Is that, am I just like an old, I guess I'm old. I'm an old fashioned man. The values I hold near and dear to me don't hold up anymore. They don't matter. Truth. They don't matter. No, and I'm not like overly masculine or anything, but I'm just saying, like, guys should not be correcting other guys for saying bad words. Okay? That's just, is there no fun? You're sucking the fun away too? What good is that? How are we supposed to fucking kill an animal together, bro? Huh? And joke about it. How are we supposed to fucking murder somebody and joke about it? Murder somebody because your wife told us to, huh? How are we supposed to do that? The whole fabric of society unravels once men take the position of women. You can't, okay? Say what you will about trans women, okay? At least they put in the work, okay? At least those are guys putting in the work to become women, and then are asking you to call them women, okay? That's fine. I'll call you a woman. You're doing the work. But for God's sakes, the men who are not doing any work, who are not saying they're trans, who don't want you to call them a woman, but still they want to be treated like one. They want you to smile and consider their feelings, be like, yeah, and not be like, just shut the fuck up, dude. Just shut up. What the fuck are you talking about? We make fun of each other. We do this to have fun. We can't have fun anymore. All right. It must sound like I'm talking about somebody specific, but it's actually pretty general what I'm talking about. I think there's just a lot of guys nowadays are sensitive. They're all sensitive, and they don't want to be, it's like, on some level, there's a whole idea that, white men aren't special anymore, so maybe they're insecure because of that. But then there's also that men are just like not really important. They're expendable. They die. That's fine. That's just sort of what they do. And so there's that. There's the idea that suicide is at an all-time high, right? These diseases of despair, right? Opioid addiction, suicide, depression, all this stuff is all adding together. You got your economic woes and all that stuff. And all of this does impact men in a lot of ways. Not like more or less severely than women, but men tend to die. Yeah, like men just die, and that's fine. That's what they've done. And women are fine with it. Men are fine with it. But as soon as the men stop being fine with it, as soon as I know it's like not healthy to take your feelings and push them down, but I also don't know why I can't stand it when there is no pushing down. There's at least 30% pushing. I don't know, just a little bit, please. Just do it for us. Like, take one for the team, because I think that's what it is. It's kind of a burden. Okay, to unload fucking living is hard, man. Living is heavy, and you have emotions, you have feelings, you have fears. All that stuff's very heavy. Every single person has enough to basically traumatize the entire world with the darkness they have inside. The mildest one of us, okay? Not to mention the Fritzels of the world, you know what I'm saying? The fucking dudes who have their daughters in dungeons and make them raise their incest baby. You got a spectrum, okay? You got a spectrum of behavior, all right? But I think when it comes down to it, all right, you got to just give people a break. You can't just unload all your shit on people and then expect them to be like your significant other or your mom or something. You know what I mean? It's just be like, why? Why does all of society have to take on that burden? Why can't you shoulder that burden? I mean, why should it's like kind of a communist form of emotional support, right? Everybody, let's just socialize the emotional loss, right? Privatize all the gains. I feel great. It's me. I did this. But when I feel bad, the entire world has to feel bad. It's fucking supposed to be the opposite. It's supposed to be laughing, the whole world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone. Okay? The people who cried were like, no, I refuse to cry alone. Now everybody has to cry with me, right? Just like a woman. All right. Oh, anyways, happy 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, guys. Get out there and vote, right? Go out there, watch the DNC, watch the RNC. I don't care who you vote for. I personally don't want to vote. I don't believe in it. I just don't believe in it. But Biden or Trump, those are my choices right now. Those are my choices, and if I don't vote, I'm just as bad. If I don't vote, it's just like voting for one guy, so then it is like voting, so then I voted. Okay, so fine. All right, there you go. Whatever. That's the thing about, America, right? It's all about like, fuck the system. The system is broken. Make sure you go vote. Rock the vote, guys. Like, what? Okay. All right. Something is like, seems kind of like a scam. It seems like a little bit of a scam to me. But I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Rojan Kimcast. You can catch me on the old Apple and the Googles and the YouTubes and the Spotifys. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, goodbye.